The door was open, but I locked it. I checked the windows, drew the blinds tight. Every shadow felt like a stare. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the silence. I kept seeing it, my face staring back from where nothing should be, from the dry, cracked bed of the lake. The image was seared into my retina, burned behind my eyelids. Every time I blinked, there it was, my own eyes, wide with a terror that mirrored my own, but also something else, something cold and ancient, looking up from the dust. I paced the small living room, heart still racing, trying to shake it off. A trick of the light, I told myself, a hallucination. The lake had been dry for years, no water, no reflection. Yet the memory felt too real, too sharp. I stopped by the window again, peering through a sliver in the blinds. The night outside was an inky black. The moon, a sickly sliver, offered no comfort. I could almost feel the vast, silent void of the lakebed out there. And then I heard it. A faint, almost imperceptible scratching sound. It wasn't outside, it was inside. A dry, scraping whisper, like fingernails dragging across sun-baked earth. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, echoing the very texture of that impossible reflection. My breath hitched. I wasn't alone. That feeling solidified into a chilling certainty. The scratching grew louder, more deliberate, a slow, steady dragging. My eyes darted around the shadowed room, finding only familiar shapes now twisted into menacing silhouettes by my frantic imagination. My own reflection stared back from the dark television screen, a ghost of myself. But this time, its eyes held no terror, only a vacant, unnerving stillness. My blood ran cold. That reflection in the TV, it wasn't me. Not truly. My own eyes would have shown fear, confusion, anything but that blank, hollow stare. It was like looking into the eyes of a stranger wearing my face, a stranger who knew something I didn't, something terrible. The scratching sound, a dry, grating whisper, seemed to be coming behind the television itself now. A relentless, rhythmic scraping that vibrated through the floorboards. It was louder, more insistent, like something trying to claw its way out from the inside of the set. I stumbled backward, tripping over a rug, my heart a frantic drum against my ribs, a desperate tattoo against the rising terror. My gaze snapped back to the TV screen. The vacant reflection, it was still there. But now, a faint, almost imperceptible tremor ran across its dark surface, like ripples in water. Only there was no water, just the dark, unforgiving glass. The scratching intensified, a desperate, tearing sound, no longer just a whisper, but a guttural rasp. It was coming from inside the screen. I could feel a cold breeze, dry and dusty, waft over me, carrying the faint, unmistakable scent of sun-baked earth. My reflection's mouth began to open, slowly, unnaturally wide, revealing not teeth but a dark, gaping void, a bottomless pit that seemed to beckon. It was trying to speak. The reflection's mouth opened wider, impossibly wide, a black chasm that seemed to swallow the light from the room. A low, guttural sound, like rocks grinding together, began to emanate from it, not words, but a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through my very bones. The air grew colder, the scent of parched earth stronger, filling my lungs with dust. My eyes, locked on that monstrous twin, watched in horror as the ripples across the screen intensified, becoming violent undulations like a furious storm brewing beneath an invisible surface. Then, from the depths of that void, 2 points of light ignited, tiny, malevolent embers that were undeniably my own eyes, but twisted, ancient, filled with an unholy hunger. They weren't looking at me, but through me, as if I were merely a thin veil. The scratching inside the TV became a tearing, a rending of fabric. And then, with a sickening pop, a crack spiderwebbed across the screen, right over the reflection's face. The void in its mouth pulsed, and a dry, skeletal hand, impossibly long and thin, began to push its way out, splintering the glass. I screamed, a raw, primal sound ripped from my throat, stumbling backward until my back hit the wall. The hand, covered in what looked like dried mud and flaking skin, flexed its impossibly long fingers, reaching, clawing for me. The eyes in the reflection burned brighter, and then the reflection itself began to shift, to solidify, pushing through the shattered screen. It was me, but not me. A desiccated, horrifying husk, smelling of death and forgotten places, emerging from the depths of that cursed reflection, dragging the dust of the empty lake into my living room. It was finally here. It stood before me, my face but hollow, eyes like dead embers. The dust, the endless dust of the lake, settled on my furniture, on my skin. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. It didn't speak, didn't lunge. It just watched. And slowly, agonizingly, I felt myself being drawn in, my own substance fading, replaced by the dry, ancient emptiness it brought. The silence was absolute now, save for the faint, dry rasp of my own breath. Have you ever felt something so utterly consumed, so completely erased, that you wondered if you were ever truly there at all? I wonder now.